Hare Krishna. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Happy Japa. The practice of japa is age-old, and it's in every culture. There's, around the world, a sense of direct connection with the Supreme by taking time to utter the names of the divine God, our original source, and in that way having direct communion. And this is exactly the doctrine of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who taught that the essence of the practice of bhakti yoga is to chant God's names. Then he said, if you want to enter into the practice wholly, that you should chant in a certain state of mind. And he recommended a verse which says that you should feel dependent. When we're in this world, we have a sense of our own self-determining nature. And when we enter into the chanting of Hare Krishna, he said, give up that self-determining nature and just depend on the power of the Supreme. And try to realize your full dependence. That, in another phrase, we're helpless. We can't sustain ourselves. All our bodily functions are going on beyond our control. It's not that if it's deemed that it's time for us to leave the body, we can stop it. And if we come into that state of mind of dependence and call out when we're chanting and feel very humble, then he said, you can go on chanting. So the chanting is a direct connection with God in the sense that God's name and himself are non-different. He makes his avatar, or he descends in a particular way to reveal himself to us by his name. That the chanting of the names is the main process for advancing in what we call bhakti yoga or devotional service. And then it is consequential, the kind of attitude that we have when we chant. He said, or at least one of his servants, Kaviraj Goswami, wrote in his book Chaitanya Charitamrita, that you should make a garland of the verse that says, be very humble, give respect to all beings, don't take any respect for yourself, and feel yourself fully dependent, and chant in that mood. Then you can experience directly the presence of Krishna in his holy names. Any comments? Give two comments, one from this side, one from that side. 3, 2, 1, Shamalangi, go.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Because we are studying Queen Kunti's prayers right now, this season, so the dependence just reminded me of some of the verses where she says, just because of a glance, all the prosperity here is because of your glance. The name and the fame that we have, everything is just because of your grace. And also we are like a body. If you're not, you're like the soul and we are the body. So if the soul leaves, the body is of no meaning. So similarly, if you are not there. So I was just reminded of these words when you said of the dependence, that how much dependence.
Yeah, you would be reminded because you're so absorbed in him all the time. That's really nice. Okay, one from this side. 3, 2, 1. Yash.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Similar to Shamalangi Mataji, another verse from Queen Kunti's prayers that seems relevant here is the verse that describes how we should become akinchana gochana. Akinchana gochana? Yeah, to become materially exhausted with the material world. And the way we can do that is, you mentioned how it's important to chant the holy names. When we keep chanting the holy names, we'll become attracted to them. And the way you become exhausted from the material world is by becoming attracted to a higher taste, from Bhagavad Gita 259. And so by continually chanting these names, we'll develop a higher taste, which will also enable us to reduce this lower taste. So just keep chanting.
Thank you. Shunyayatam Jagat Sarvam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said in his instructions on chanting that when you follow the advice that Yash just gave you and come to the point, Shunyayatam Jagat, that the whole world is shunya. There's nothing here for me at all. Nothing to see here, nothing to stop for. I'm only pursuing the spiritual world and my relationship with Krishna. Everything else is shunya. It's all finished. Akinchana, I have nothing here. Only my service. Nice. So we have some framework, and it's helpful to have framework when going in, and we talked last time, or maybe we didn't, in this forum, but it's nice to start with a sankalpa, and a bhuta shuddhi means just reaffirm that I'm not my body, I'm a servant of Krishna, and then state to yourself your intention for chanting. So maybe just take 10 seconds to yourself, affirm you're not your body, I'm an eternal servant of Krishna, and today I'm chanting because, and then make your statement and then start up. You want to try it? Go. Hare Krishna. Just a few thoughts about the chanting. There's a verse from the Upanishads that states that, and it's speaking to the soul, that you are born from nectar and your destiny is to enter back into nectar. And it's urging soul, go back to the ocean of nectar. And Rupa Goswami, when he wrote his invocation verse for one of his works, said that I can't understand how much nectar the two syllables Krishna have produced. Thinking about the idea of the two syllables of Krishna's name producing nectar. And also the idea given in the Padma Purana about Namachintamani Krishnas, that Krishna's name also has this active principle that whatever it touches, it transforms into something valuable. We can appreciate that when we're chanting the holy name, we're producing nectar and we're transforming. And then considering how the demons and the demigods had to enter into a pact to work together in order to churn the ocean of nectar. Which, as Vishnu said, right now, there's no solution except you have to work together and churn the ocean of nectar. And the churning process was not easy. They underwent severe penance, including some of them were killed in the process. Vishnu brought them back to life again, and he repaired their crushed bodies when they tried to move them under a mountain, which was made out of gold. It was very heavy, too heavy for them. He even helped them carry it. But they did have to do the labor. And churning included using Vasuki as a rope and the flames coming out. And if we think about the chanting of the holy name, the nectar is there. It's a churning process. Everything is complete. It's just we have to do the work. And sometimes even I was thinking of the comparison of how we may be of two minds. One mind is chant, the other one is don't chant. And you have to kind of bring the divine and the demoniac together that are there in one mind and say, oh, we're going to somehow churn together. Everyone will get something out of this. Let's work together at it. So remembering just that our acharyas are assuring us that, yes, the way to enter into the ocean of nectar is by churning the holy name and continuing the process, even if we feel crushed in the system of churning. Let's have a couple of reflections. How's your chanting going? Did you experience that the two syllables Krishna, you couldn't estimate how much nectar it was producing, and you wanted more tongues to chant more, and you wanted more ears to catch the sound? How were you feeling? Yes. We'll get you a mic.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. This sankalpa really helped whenever my mind was going away from the attention to the chanting. Sankalpa brought my mind back. And another thing that I learned from one of my uncles back in India, he suggested me to close my eyes while chanting. It was difficult for me in the beginning, but I felt so much better because I was not looking around. So that also helped.
Thank you. And Sankalpa, remind me how, when we talk about chanting with attention, when I was looking at the history of the word, attention means to give special care. That's one of the connotations of attention. It also means to stretch towards something. And one of the ways to do that is to set one's purpose before chanting. Just say, this is why I'm chanting, and I'm endeavoring to give special care. Unamas? Yes. Santosh?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for sharing the thought. I often feel whenever I chant in the same direction that I'm thinking something else. So I'll just try to say that you'll get something better out of it. Just try for some rounds. But that keeps on going. I could relate to the thought that you're mentioning, that we have two minds. One is wants to chant, one don't want to chant. I could feel that for myself every day. And also, to the previous line of thought that you were sharing, I was thinking about this Maya Manasrajati Karma Balyam verse, where as a living entity, we have been stuck hard in the material nature, and there is so much force is there. So in that scenario, so the best way is to humbly take the shelter of the holy name, as mentioned in the verse. I was just thinking about that verse to the previous line of thought.
Mayam srijit karma mayam baliya kalina chodita gunana matina pumsam chando mayam jaridyarpita shodasharam samsara chakramajiko titaret twaranyaha. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thanks for reminding us. Okay, Unamas, Malini.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, the part where you're mentioning about dependence on Krishna, depend on Him for, it's very difficult. I felt I wanted to have complete dependence on Him, but the mind tend to say that, no, you have to think about this, you have to think about that. What about this possibility? So it was a very difficult exercise, but at least I was happy to go through the process of trying to depend on Krishna fully.
You know, thinking about that, I've been, since I talked to that professor from Brown University, Dr. Sloman, he wrote the book called Knowledge Illusion. And it's actually been a relief for me because the mind's always trying to figure everything out. And after talking to him and reading his book, I just had this, the one takeaway I had from that is, I can't figure anything out. I don't know how anything works. And I was just thinking the other day about how to be, if I'm content to really know that I don't know much, or I don't know anything practically, and I can't figure anything out on my own either, it helps me to feel more dependent on Krishna. And like the mind's, the ego is thinking, I can figure this out, I can fix it. But when I, heard from this more, he's a secular type of person. He's not talking about God or anything. He's just talking about the phenomena of us moving through the world and thinking we know a lot more than we do. And then observing how, in so many circumstances, I have no idea what I'm talking about when it comes to articulating any particular item that I'm dealing with or how a certain circumstance is going to unfold. So that I just think it's a relief, actually, just to depend on Krishna and not try to figure it all out. I just follow what Krishna says and what the great acharyas say, and then leave it to them. It's a sense of dependence from realizing my own ineptitude at navigating the universe or figuring anything out for myself. It's a relief. It's like, yeah, I don't know anything. Somebody brings a problem and said, can you figure this out? It's like, no, not really. I don't know how anything works, really. And, you can put yourself in that space and just give up kind of the mind that wants to solve everything. You just say, it's not solvable. You just can't understand it unless Krishna reveals something. And then if he does, then I'll do something about it. Okay, we have just a few more minutes. Oh, barely any time. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining Japa Circle this morning. Everyone online, Hare Krishna, Gaur Prem. That's a nice shirt you have on there today, Mukunda. And good to see Suyash. Subhadra's there as usual. Thanks for the heart. Hare Krishna, everyone. Dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Panchatattva, Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Lakshmi Nrsingadev, if you so desire, please allow us to be humble or empower us to chant with humility and experience how we're producing nectar by chanting the two syllables, Krishna. Everyone agrees with this prayer in whole or in part, please say Hare Krishna.